Hey guys, what's up? It's Jack and welcome back to another video. And real quick before we start on today's topic of discussion, I just wanted to say that for those of you guys that don't know, XDefiant will be getting another public playtest in the form of a stress test that will last for only 12 hours, but for every single platform. As far as current gen goes, PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5. So we don't know when exactly, hopefully next weekend. My assumption is that it didn't happen this weekend simply because of the fact that, well, again, I could be wrong, but simply because of the fact that it's the holiday weekend, they might have not released it on that weekend just because of that. But at the same time, it only lasted 12 hours, so they could have released it on Friday. But you know how people are with holidays. They kind of, when there's a holiday weekend, it's pretty much, it pretty much lasts the entire weekend as well. So yeah, that is, I just wanted to catch you guys up on that for those of you guys that do not know yet. Now, today's topic of discussion may be very simple, but honestly, it is a fair question to ask. So the question is, why was XDefiant even created? Now, please don't get me wrong and don't take this out of context. I am happy that we are eventually, fingers crossed, getting XDefiant, right? I am happy that it is going to be a pure experience in terms of SBMM, EOMM not existing. But am I also expecting the game to be sweaty? To a certain extent, yes, because of like today's players versus players like 10 years ago. We've all gotten better over time, and we've all become a little bit more familiar with arcade shooters over time, thanks to the popularity of Call of Duty, and as well as other games that have come out afterwards. So I like to think that your average player today is better than your average player back in the day. So I think you're going to have a slightly higher percentage of people that know what they're doing to a certain extent that are going to be in lobbies. But with that being said, it's still a pure experience, right? It's still a pure experience in the sense that, when you're in a game and ping is truly king, there's no manipulation going on a game-to-game basis, right? And in some cases, even a moment-to-moment basis, right? There's nothing like that going on. So I think that's obviously one of the biggest things that have people's attention about XDefiant, and I think it's one of the reasons as to why the developers had said from the beginning whether or not there's skill-based matchmaking in the game. And a lot of players have been very excited about this ever since the start. So me being one of them. Now, back to the original topic, though. Let's just be real here. Whether you like to admit it or not, there has been no game, and even to this day, there has been no game that tries to step in the ring with Call of Duty. Even if that game were to be better, right? Nobody dares to compete with Call of Duty. There's only one game that could compete with Call of Duty and can succeed, and that is Grand Theft Auto. But Grand Theft Auto games come out like once every 10 years or something like that. That is the only exception to the rule. Other than that, there's no other game out there, even of its own genre, which there aren't many of them, because Call of Duty comes out every year, and therefore anybody trying to even create another arcade shooter that would actually compete with Call of Duty, whether it likes it or not, because COD comes out every year, it just doesn't happen. The only arcade shooter that I remember that came out that was digital only and was pretty popular and actually really good, and it's kind of a gem and a lot of people miss it, was actually Gotham City Imposters, and which was very reminiscent of Call of Duty type of gameplay, but it was set in the world of Gotham City. You either played as the Jokers or the heroes or the Batman or whatever, the anti-heroes or whatever they were called, and it was really cool. It was very unique. And it was a gem. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Even Call of Duty content creators made videos on it. I think I even made a video on it, if I'm not mistaken, or videos. And it was a lot of fun. But with that being said, there has been no arcade shooter that has survived, right? Because, again, Call of Duty continues to remain a juggernaut, despite the fact that, who knows, maybe multiplayer games, multiplayer numbers might be down, but remember, there's so much more to play now and so many more different ways to play, especially when you consider Bobby Kotick's, answer when he was, under oath in court. They asked him how many players when we're playing Call of Duty, like from Modern Warfare 2019 to today or something like that, like in total, and his answer was 70 million. And the majority of those players are coming from mobile. And then after that, you've got, your PC players, and then you have PlayStation, then you have console. PlayStation, then you have Xbox. So now you got people that are playing, online zombies. You got people that are playing the traditional multiplayer, which is, I think, probably like a really small percentage in comparison to what it used to be. And a lot of people are playing Warzone, etc. So there's a lot more places to where people can go. So the player base is actually spread if you consider the amount of games that people are playing, depending on whichever one that they enjoy playing, as well as, Warzone and all that stuff, right? So now, I'm not suggesting that multiplayer is at its all-time high in terms of the newest game that's out right now. However, I am still suggesting that despite the fact that numbers for the current multiplayer game may be significantly lower than otherwise what they should or would be, the game is still a juggernaut, right? In terms of its popularity, whether you like to admit it or not, it still is a juggernaut. And to this day, regardless of whatever you might think, nobody would dare compete with COD. So basically what I'm saying is the Ubisoft devs, as well as Ubisoft themselves, obviously, because they obviously had to greenlight this before the devs started making it. They had this obviously was presented to them, and they knew this, right? They know that they would be competing with COD. But what made them think that they could succeed? Other than put the lack of skill-based matchmaking, engagement optimization, matchmaking to the side, right? Put that to the side. It is a big factor. There's no doubt about it. But put that to the side real quick. From a gameplay standpoint, from what the game is at its core, and what the game strives to do, obviously, right? What makes them think that they are going to be able to survive and thrive in a world where Call of Duty comes out every year and has been financially successful, whether you want to admit it or not, it is financially successful. And basically gathers everybody who plays arcade shooters in that general direction. It's got the brand name that goes on it. Everybody plays it. Now there's Warzone, all that other stuff. Okay. So in my mind, I'm thinking, what was XDefiant thinking? And again, don't take this out of context. I'm very happy to be getting it. I really, really, really am. And I want the game to come out just like everybody else that's been waiting for God knows how long. But I'm thinking to myself, like, there's got to be some sort of strategy, right, that the devs / Ubisoft have that makes them think that, hey, we're gonna do this our way and we're still gonna succeed, right? And just stepping up to the plate is actually a really big deal, because there have been many that have tried, and actually I don't remember if there were any others, really. I mean, a lot of people didn't even step up to the plate. There were no arcade shooters, to my recollection, other than COD, because all you needed was COD, because it came out every year and it was the only, so, but here's what happened years later, right? Call of Duty, like, there were even some games out there that kind of mimicked Call of Duty, like, even though they weren't an arcade shooter, they kind of mimicked a little bit of what Call of Duty did. But regardless, what happened was Call of Duty eventually started going after what battle royales were doing, and that's why you had Blackout, and then after that you had Warzone, et cetera, et cetera. They went after the Fortnite formula and put their own take on it, et cetera, right? Because they realized how successful Fortnite was. So in my mind, I'm thinking, is that what XDefiant is kind of doing? But they're kind of trying to follow the Call of Duty success or whatnot? Or should I say, like, kind of reinvigorate it and do it their way? And this is where things get interesting, because if something is making money, right, it's like, are they thinking, like, if we do this our way differently, we can make even more money and appease more people, and then even probably get those guys that play that game to come over to our game? It could very well be. I mean, we've already been labeled as Call of Duty refugees, by Mark Rubin himself. So, and rightfully so, because a lot of us that are waiting for XDefiant, just either stop playing COD, or we don't play COD, or or we do play COD, but we're just doing it just to kind of try to get a little bit of our arcade shooter fixed before XDefiant comes out or whatever the deal is, right? So and some of us are just waiting because we have another option, right? As opposed to, you know, hey, you got no choice but to play this every year, and yeah, whether you like it or not, this is what you're getting, right? So that's what I'm thinking. I keep on thinking to myself, like, no other, at least in recent history, no other developer or game has dared to step, you know, toe to toe with COD. And the thing is, even though XDefiant is not necessarily trying to directly compete, whether it likes it or not, it is competition because it is very reminiscent of Call of Duty, and it is an alternate Call of Duty, and it's an arcade shooter at the end of the day. So whether you like to admit it or not, whether the game likes to admit it or not, it is direct competition, and that's the interesting thing. It's like nobody else dared to, and rightfully so. There's only been one game that's not even of Call of Duty genre that can step toe to toe with COD if they were to release on the same day, right? And that game is Grand Theft Auto, right? And it's not even the same genre. So, and Grand Theft Auto these days is huge. I mean, it was huge when the last one came out. Grand Theft Auto 5, shit. I even remember other, you know, Call of Duty content creators briefly doing content on that and streaming, because Grand Theft Auto is like once every 10 years now, if not close to that, to where it's like celebrated, and the community of gamers, regardless of what game they play or whatever content they cover, are unified because of that game, because it's Grand Theft Auto. And with the success of Grand Theft Auto Online, it's gotten even bigger, and now people are anticipating Grand Theft Auto 6 like wow, like big time. So that's the only game. That is the only game. So I mean, maybe you can argue, like, if Fortnite were to say, yeah, we're going to come up with Fortnite 2 and we're going to release around the same time as COD or something like that, regardless. I mean, that game could probably compete as well. Like a Fortnite 2, a sequel to Fortnite, if they actually, you know, called it Fortnite 2. And forgive me, I don't really follow Fortnite. I'm not a Battle Royale guy. I Battle Royale never, you know, just isn't my cup of tea or whatnot. But let's just say, you know, Fortnite were to do that, you know, and they actually called it Fortnite 2, and you know, I know there's been plenty of updates so that it might as well be called Fortnite 2, but you guys get my point, right? A full-on Fortnite sequel, you know? I think that would be a big contender as well, but again, that's a different genre or whatnot. We never really had a reason for another arcade shooter up until a little bit more recent, because of, you know, the direction Call of Duty has chosen to go in over the last handful of years. So I think it's an interesting question, and this conversation can easily go longer. So I'm gonna cut it here because I think this video has been long enough. So, in your opinion, with XDefiant stepping up to the plate, putting the lack of SBMM and EOMM aside, what makes you think that XDefiant will be successful, right? Or why you want to play it? I really want to know down below in the comment section as to what has you interested in the game in the first place, regardless of the fact of SBMM, EOMM not being a thing. You know, take that out of the equation. Look at the game and its purity as to what it is and what it offers besides that. And then, and I'd really like to know. And yeah, that's it, guys. I think this will make for a very interesting conversation, and maybe when I stream a little bit later, we can continue to go a little bit more in depth into this conversation, go perhaps even deeper. But and shout out to everybody that's been coming to stream. I love it. It's been my favorite thing to do recently, and I've been doing it more. And I just love getting on here, you know, playing a different game that isn't necessarily a shooter, and or it could just be like a single player game or something like that, and just kind of, you know, get through it, continue to get achievement points, and then endlessly talk with you guys. You know, if there's somebody to talk to and chat and we have a conversation, or multiple people, it's literally one of my favorite things to do. So I look forward to doing more a little bit later. So with that being said, I hope to hear from you guys in the comment section as to what your thoughts are telling you about the subject of today. Thank you all for taking the time to watch and or listen, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.